Good evening. Call to order the meeting of the Economic Development Subcommittee. And we have one item up for business tonight. Communications from Alliance Capital, LLC, relative to proposal for a hotel development and electronic gaming at the current site of the Lee Trailer Park, or Riviera Beach Parkway on Route 1A. And we have a proposer, Eugene McCain here. If you'd like to come on up and tell us what's going on.
Good evening, Chairman, council members. A few weeks ago, I was here before the full council, and I provided you all with some information on our project that involves a hotel complex and a proposed slot parlor complex near the intersection of Furlong and Route 1, and backed by Riviera Beach Parkway. At that time, I was given a short period of time to give a brief presentation, and during that presentation, it was proposed that I come before the subcommittee to allow you all to have an opportunity to ask questions and to delve a little bit further into this. And that's why I'm here today. I'd like to give a little update from the last presentation. Since I was here, two important events have occurred. One is that there was a challenge to the constitutionality of the ballot initiative, the state ballot initiative. The state was the defendant, and the Supreme Judicial Court determined that the ballot initiative was in fact constitutional. That was about a month ago. After that, another important event was the second requirement of signature gathering, a little less than 11,000 signatures required. And we met that threshold a few weeks ago, and it was announced by the state that 4 of the initial 34 initiatives had made it through to that point and were now going on the November ballot. So our initiative is going on the ballot in November. Those two things happened since my last appearance here. A third important process that had not quite started yet when I was here before and is well underway now is a city initiative, City of Revere initiative that is underway. And that initiative is for the purpose of asking the registered voters in Revere if they would like to have the council approve of a particular site for a Category 2 licensed slot parlor if that license becomes available and is awarded to Revere. And that initiative will, if successful in achieving the number of petition signers, which we believe it will shortly, that will then go before the council, the full council, and the council will have the option of either enacting that measure as written or to call a special election, ballot election, in which there will be an election in Revere asking the voters to vote on that ballot question. So that's update on these two initiatives. One initiative is being sponsored by Horse Racing Jobs and Education Committee, and that's the state initiative. The City of Revere initiative is being sponsored by the Revere Jobs and Education Committee. A third entity, Alliance Capital, is the company that has been acquiring properties in Revere and is planning on a hotel complex at the site at the corner of Furlong Drive and Route 1, Lee Burbank Highway, and which is adjacent to other property that is currently now the trailer park, and that if the state initiative is successful, the state ballot committee will be proposing to their investment backers to apply for that license if it becomes available, in hopes of putting in a successful application and hopes of being awarded the license by the Gaming Commission. So those are the further steps in this process. That, I think, gives you a synopsis of kind of where we are and where we're going. And the most important thing that I would like to convey this evening is that our investors are making an effort to allow for a second slots parlor in Massachusetts. There's one allowed now, 3 full game casinos and 1 slots club. Through the state initiative to allow a second, and my group backing us would like to have that come to Revere. The steps I've just defined a moment ago are all necessary, but the hope and the effort is to bring this to the city of Revere. The city made a gallant effort to bring a full casino to Revere. Many of you were involved in that effort. Unfortunately, the award went to another city. This current effort now is an opportunity for Revere to participate in the gaming industry, a very well-regulated industry today that brings in a lot of income, jobs, funds that can be earmarked for education, youth programs, so there can be some custom earmarking of funds. 49% of the gross gaming revenue does go to taxes and into funds for the state and local communities. 9% of that, 9 of the 49, is actually earmarked specifically for the horse racing fund, which helps to preserve the tradition of horse racing in Massachusetts. I'd like to open it up to Chairman to questions or further discussion.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. At this point, I'll ask any of the fellow councilors or councilors on the committee, happen to be Councilor Haas, Councilor Morabito, Councilor Rotundo, and Councilor Zambuto, but be happy to open it up to the councilors, starting with Councilor Haas.
How realistic is your proposal?
There's different levels of that question, right. Of course. One way of responding to that has to do with what the people want. And we're talking about what the people in Massachusetts want. We're talking about what the people in Revere want. The information I have is that on a state level, that there is a reasonably good chance that this will pass. There will be those that oppose. There will be other gaming companies that, of course, would like to close out the opportunity for other competitors, and they will be against it. And there are those that are staunch opponents to gaming that will be very active in opposing it. And there will be also a campaign for it. And the campaign for it will focus on the economic opportunities, the jobs, education, funding, and tax relief. There is a good chance that it'll pass. Otherwise we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be doing this. So that's on the state level. On the city level, the city of Revere has shown its support for this kind of facility through at least 2 previous citywide referendums. And a recent poll that was conducted here by a national polling institution showed a 2-to-1 majority in the city of Revere for the slot club. If it could be available, they would like it to be here in Revere, and they would like the city leadership to support the effort. So that's from a, how realistic is it from a people standpoint? From a financing of this effort, I can assure you that the investors behind our efforts are substantial, and they will carry this through with a robust effort. And if successful, the funding and financing of the facilities will come very easily for our group. So from that standpoint, it's very realistic. Does that answer your question, Bob?
Yes, it does. Does this tie into the hotels? If this is not a go, will the hotels still proceed?
Well, we've tried to move these 2 efforts forward. Obviously, they're somewhat interlocked,
right,
but also somewhat independent. The hotel development is feasible on its own without the support of a slot club development. Jones Lang LaSalle out of New York have just done a feasibility study for the hotel development and came out with a very positive endorsement in their financial analysis of the project. So it is independently a feasible project. Our group obviously would like to see all of this go forward together. That would maximize the benefits to the city and be really a great project for Revere.
Thank you, Gene.
Councilor Morbido?
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to explain the project and the proposal. My question is on the polling that you did, if you can share some of the information and how many people were polled.
On the poll that was done.
You did a poll
Yes.
in Revere based. Was it 200 voters that you reached out
Yeah,
to?
it was over 200. Excuse me, it was 325 registered voters
So it's,
that were polled.
so it's a small specimen.
It's actually, you can do your own investigation, but from, as I understand, from the science of polling, it brings you to within about a little bit less than 5.5%, plus or minus. When you get to 400 or 500, you only get down to maybe about 4% or 3.5% to 4%. So it's marginal. If you get below 200, it becomes a much higher variable. But at at 325, where we have real data that is valid and reliable, and when you look at the key questions. Do you want a slots parlor in Revere? And do you want the city leadership to support this effort? We have 63 and 64%, as I recall. I've given you all copies of it, basically 2-to-1 in favor. This is just this is not a 51-49. This is a real overwhelming support. So I think that's very reliable.
Thank you.
Councilor McKenna?
Thank you. Eugene, hi.
Hi, Jim.
So my understanding is if you don't get the vote for the slot parlors, that the hotels will still come in. Am I right?
That is correct. We're not taking the position that no slots parlor, the hotel is out, mainly because they're really on different timelines. The hotel effort is really moving forward on its own track right now. And in the next few months, the financing will will be locked in, and the designs are being done. There's, in some of the material I handed out, there's some new renderings of the location. So that is proceeding. But we certainly are, we have our strong intention to go forward with the slots parlor and would like to see that happen. But its timing takes a little longer because it's the November election. If it passes, then it'll go to the gaming commission. There'll be a period of applications, and it just is on a different time frame.
Can you talk a little bit about the quality of the hotels?
The hotels, there's 2 hotels planned, and this was based, we had different concepts at the beginning, 1 hotel, 3 hotels, 2 different levels of service. Hotels in Revere are considered, at least along the Route 1, as basically service hotels to Logan Airport, as well as providing additional rooms for visitors coming to visit the greater Boston area, all the sightseeing and attractions. The target has been, for most of the hotels, what we'd call a select service level. And that's what you see in like Marriott Courtyard and Comfort Inn, and Marriott Residence is similar, but with an extended stay customer base and slightly different room arrangements. We're looking at doing, as proposed by Jones Lang LaSalle, what is called a light full service, and this would be similar to a Sheraton. It'd be a little bit a grade above what you're seeing around a Crowne Plaza, Sheraton level of service, and also a select service similar to some of the other hotels, but probably as an extended stay.
Thank you.
Let me answer one more, I think, part of that that I should say is, in having a lot of these select service hotels don't have any restaurants. They're basically provide a very nice service, but without some of the bells and whistles. What we're doing with the 2 hotels will allow us to do a little bit more amenities, have a full restaurant program there, as well as swimming and some other facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Zambuto or Councilor Rotundo?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. What would be the time frame in order to have this project wrapped up if you were able to get your commitment from the state and authorization through the city?
It's a good question, and it's not one that really anyone could give you a really exact timing, but let me kind of walk you through it a little bit. Obviously, from the state standpoint, the November election is the do or die on any ballot initiative. From a city standpoint, part of why I'm here tonight is to implore all of you to please consider making moves forward in support of what we're doing so that we have the support of the city as we move forward. Timing-wise, the November ballot, if it's successful, which we will make every effort to make it successful, will then trigger a procedural process that will result in, over a period of months, the state giving the Gaming Commission authority to award one more slots parlor license, Category 2 license. Now, this is the tricky part of your question. They're not under a time frame. They're not told within 3 weeks, within 3 months, within 1 year. Their tendency is to move fairly quickly. They look for the environment of applicants and encourage the applications and go through a process of due diligence on the applications, which does take some time. But after the November ballot, the award might come within 3 or 4 months. It might come 6 to 8 months. It could be longer than that, but most likely would be in that time frame. Once the award is given, by the time the award is given, the applicants and our application will have fairly detailed plans already, so that once the award is given, we can hit the ground pretty quickly. A facility like this will take probably about 2 years to build. So we're looking at, 2.5 years-ish. It could be 3.5, could be less.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, so basically what you're saying, unless the state legislature forwards the approval from the ballot initiative and the Gaming Commission votes affirmatively to move forward with the idea of allowing another gaming facility, that basically this gaming portion of your product is moot.
Yeah, it's all dependent on the November election. Once that happens, it's basically, if it's successful, then there'll be a process that will happen, that will move forward. It's not that they won't.
I think we're all very familiar with that process
Yeah.
in the city, so.
Yeah, you've been there before.
We've been there, and we've seen that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rotundo. Mr. Zambuto?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm trying to get a handle on this. If your ballot question fails, the project's dead, is that correct?
If the ballot question fails, there is no slot parlor license available, so that certainly cannot go forward.
No, I understand that. That's one piece of your overall project. Now, I was told originally, when this was first shopped around, perhaps incorrectly, that this was going to go with or without the slot parlor.
Correct.
So,
That's what I was told.
right.
So I'm
The-
hearing something different tonight.
All right,
I'm
let me-
hearing that the project is dead if the slot parlor is dead.
That's not what I intended to say. Let me
Okay.
walk back through it
No,
one more time,
Perhaps I
just to be clear.
misunderstood. Go ahead.
Okay. The two processes are on different timelines and different processes. The hotel process is moving forward independently.
Okay. That's what I heard originally.
Yes,
And that stands.
and that stands.
Okay. I
It's
gotta
a
be.
wonderful project in and of itself.
Right.
And we're moving that forward
And
as
we're
rapidly as
excited-
we can.
And I shouldn't say we, the royal we. I'm excited for a hotel. I'm not so excited about a slot parlor. I was a big proponent of a full casino at Suffolk Downs and Revere, probably the biggest proponent of anybody. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. But I was never for a slot parlor in Revere. So I guess if you win the legislation, you'll have to win me over.
Well, we will certainly try, and in the effort to kind of win people over, will certainly revolve around the financial benefits of it, and that's sort of the key.
I'm about what's best for the city, and if you can convince me that when all is said and done, you win this and you get the approval, then you'll probably get me on board, because I'll see a lot of relief to my taxpayers. So that's what I'm looking for.
Look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zambuto. Mr. McCain, we're coming up on that time of 6 o'clock. I just wanted to let you know that we really appreciate you coming here, presenting your case and talking about the two different types of proposals. I'm sure that there'll be many questions down the road, and you'll be able to help offer us some more information. But we want to thank you for coming here today, and we'll address this as we continue to move forward.
Mr.
Thank you.
Keith,
Thank you, Chairman.
point of
Yes.
information?
Yes.
Could you ask if there's any people in the audience who would like to speak?
I'd be happy to. We are coming up on 6
know.
o'clock. Maybe if we can just do, would it be okay to do a
Mr.
show of
Chairman?
hands?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Madam President, would you mind starting the meeting a few minutes later in order to have anybody who wishes to speak with them?
We got some people out there.
Certainly, if it's good with you, that it's good. If anyone that would be willing to speak briefly as a proponent, feel free to step on up as a
Sit down.
proponent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
None? As an opponent?
Actually, before I move forward, Council President Gino, is it okay if we postpone the meeting a few minutes?
I don't see a problem with it as long as everyone sticks to the 2-minute rule. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any, and once again, this is just a conversation, but any opponents that would like to come up and talk?
That would be 3 total. I came in late, so I didn't hear the beginning of this. Are we talking about 2 hotels at Suffolk Downs and 1 at Shaw's, which would be actually 3 hotels?
Mr. Morris, this is a little bit of a separate proposal.
Yeah, but we're talking about a total of 3.
Potentially, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Potentially.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other potential opponents to this presentation? Step on up to the mic. State your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Joanne Travato. I live at 1759 North Shore Road, which is Ward 2, constantly under siege, as I feel, after living in this city my whole life, 66 years and 50 years at that residence. It seems that whenever there's some place to infringe upon the homeowners with hotels, casinos, slot parlors, it seems to be Ward 2. Revere is the 4th most densely populated city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You know, being top 10 is a good thing, but not in this situation, okay? The schools are overcrowded, and we are, for some reason, the city council, to me, doesn't seem to listen to what the people are saying, but looks at tax revenue, tax decreases for homeowners. When has that happened? I happen to be a homeowner and taxpayer, and I don't see that happening. The schools are already overcrowded, and what Revere is becoming is a city of transients, and that's what is going to become. Hotels, apartments. Millennials are not going to live in Revere. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm delusional, but I just don't see it. We have a large immigrant population now, which is a wonderful thing, but it brings additional issues for education. We have safety problems. Look at the Journal, look at the accident reports. We need more traffic, we need more cars in the city. The roads, the state roads are in horrible. North Shore Road has 20 some odd bumps and okay,
I don't want to cut you off.
So
and
I'm
you would be
in
an
opposition.
opponent,
There's enough
correct.
apartments going up in this city, 900 down the beach, here, there, and everywhere, Washington Ave. We have hotels already. Let's just think about this and think about the quality of life in this city.
Most certainly. Thank you very much.
My name is Joseph Lorenzo. I live on Standish Road. I just want to know how many units in these 2 hotels that he's proposing?
This is a proposed 1 hotel and a proposed slot power. And once again, this is just a
My
coming up
question is,
presentation.
how many units in this hotel is he proposing?
Mr. McCain? Okay, 200 and 200.
So
There you
there's
go.
400 down there. You're going to have another 300 apartments and another 148 hotel. This is just getting out of hand. It's just getting out of hand.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patty Reardon. I live on Standish Road in Revere. And I was wondering, because of going to all these places like Market Basket where they're getting these signatures and they're saying it's to bring the horsemen back, and it's very deceiving. And also the lien that's against Suffolk Downs from Caesar's Palace for 10 years, saying that they can have no gaming for 10 years. Are they jockeying now because they're putting through the legislature just 1 to 50 days of racing, and they brought it down to 3 days, 3 weekends? Are we looking at a future off-track betting in this area? Because that's been the demise of people in New York City when they started that off-track betting. And it sounds too familiar that it's 4 acres, 1,500 feet from a former racetrack or a racetrack. It is site-specific. It can't apply to Raynham. It can't apply to Brockton because they're separated with a highway or a railway. I'll be very, very careful to find out exactly what's going to go on here because it sounds very, very deceitful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Ricky LaCentra, 30 John Avenue in Revere. I am opposed to the slots parlor, period. Thank you.
That would be brief. Thank you. So at this point, sir?
Hello, I'm Arkady Segal, and I live at 45 Porter Avenue. My main objection to this is height. It will be all Christmas tree. It's way too high. I mean, 4-story, I can imagine. 6, probably I have to imagine later, but I wouldn't want to. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Here, anyone else would like to come up? No? All right. So we're gonna call this meeting and adjourn this. We have one more.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anna Vasquez, and I live at 5 Standish Road, and I do oppose to this project.
Thank you very much. At this point, the meeting of the Economic Development Subcommittee is closed.